Welcome to Module F4 of the Qlause Continuous Improvement Program, CI Culture and Scientific Thinking. So far, you've been learning tools, waste, 6S, visual management. This module is different. It's about the part that decides whether any of those tools actually stick, the mindset and the habits of the people using them. Because here's the thing that catches most improvement programs out. Tools don't sustain improvement. Behavior does. Over the next half hour, we'll look at why culture sits above the tools, what scientific thinking really means in practice, and the simple daily habits that turn a toolkit into a culture. Let's begin. Here's what you'll take away. First, you'll understand why culture sits above the tools, why so many tool-led programs stall, and how the Shingo model puts behavior at the center. Second, you'll learn scientific thinking and PDCA, how to treat your work as a series of small experiments instead of jumping straight to solutions. Third, you'll meet Toyota Kata, the Improvement Kata, and the Coaching Kata, the routines that turn improvement from an occasional event into a daily habit. And fourth, you'll leave knowing your own part in the culture, the behaviors, curiosity, respect, psychological safety that you can start practicing in your own work this week. Let's start with why this module exists. You've learned the tools. But the single biggest change in modern continuous improvement isn't a new tool at all. It's the realization that tools only work when the culture around them does. Think about the programs you've seen stall. They rarely fail on technique. They fail because the behaviors never changed. How people think, how they ask questions, how they respond when something goes wrong. There are three modern shifts behind this. Culture now sits above the tools. Improvement is run as small experiments and a daily habit, not occasional events. And managers coach rather than direct. This module is about all three. Here's the hard truth, stated plainly. You can teach every tool perfectly and still see no lasting change. We've all seen it. A 6S board that nobody updates. A waste walk that turns up problems nobody fixes. A beautiful standard that quietly stops being followed. The tools were fine. What was missing was a culture. A workplace where people are expected and genuinely feel safe to surface problems and experiment towards something better. That culture is the real product. The tools are just how it shows up. So where does culture fit? The Shingo model, a widely used benchmark for operational excellence, makes the point about as plainly as it can be made. Results come from systems and tools, but those systems and tools rest on something underneath them, principles and behaviors. Picture it as a pyramid. Results sit at the top. Below them, the tools, your 6S, your waste analysis, PDCA. Below those, the systems, daily management, standards. And at the very base, carrying all of it, principles and behaviors. Get the behaviors right and the tools deliver. Bolt tools onto the wrong behaviors and they quietly fall out of use. Culture isn't the soft stuff, it's the foundation everything else stands on. The Shingo model is built on guiding principles, and a handful of them shape a CI culture directly. Respect every individual. Everyone wants to contribute and grow, so involve the people who do the work. Lead with humility. Leaders listen, ask and learn rather than pretending to have every answer. Embrace scientific thinking. Try, learn, adjust. Treat ideas as experiments, not opinions to defend. Focus on the process. When something goes wrong, fix the process, don't blame the person. Assure quality at the source. Build it right the first time, never knowingly pass on a defect. And seek perfection. See every problem as a gift, a chance to get a little better. Two of these carry the rest, respect for people and scientific thinking. So let's take each in turn. The first is respect for people. And in CI, respect isn't just politeness. It's a specific belief that the people closest to the work understand it best and genuinely want to make it better. So you involve them in improving it. You don't redesign their work over their heads. Remember the 8th waste from Module 2, unused human creativity? That waste is exactly the cost of ignoring this principle. In practice, respect looks like a few concrete behaviors. Ask the people who do the work before you change how it's done. Make it safe to say, this isn't working, without fear of blame. Develop people. Coach their capability. Don't just hand out tasks. And act on the ideas you ask for, because nothing kills engagement faster than input that gets ignored. That leads straight to the second condition, psychological safety. Psychological safety is the shared belief that it's safe to speak up, to admit a mistake, raise a problem, or ask what feels like a stupid question, without being punished or humiliated. And it turns out to be the single biggest predictor of whether improvement actually happens. The logic is simple. Problems only get solved if people feel safe enough to surface them. Where safety is present, questions and "I don't know" are normal. Mistakes come out early as learning. Problems point to the process, and everyone's input counts. Where it's missing, the opposite happens. Questions dry up, mistakes get hidden until they blow up. Blame finds a person rather than a cause, and only the loudest voice is heard. And hidden problems always grow. So culture isn't a poster of values on the wall. It's the behaviors you can actually see on the floor. A healthy CI culture looks like this in action. People go and see. Decisions get made at the work, from facts, not in a meeting room from assumptions. They surface problems, and raising one is welcomed as help, not treated as complaining. Leaders ask rather than tell, questions that build thinking instead of handing down answers. People experiment. Small, reversible tests beat long debates. They standardize the gain. A better way found is captured as the new standard, so it doesn't slip back. And they recognize effort. Improvement attempts get noticed and valued, even when an experiment doesn't work. If you want to know whether a culture is healthy, don't read its value statement. Watch what people actually do. Now to the engine of all this. Scientific thinking. Scientific thinking means treating the way you work as a set of experiments rather than fixed opinions. You predict what will happen, you try it, you compare the actual result against your prediction, and you learn. It replaces "I think" and "we've always done it this way" with "let's find out." And notice, the point isn't to be right the first time. The point is to learn fast and adjust. Being wrong, quickly and cheaply, is how you get to better. Compare the two mindsets. "That won't work" becomes "let's test it small and see." "Whose fault is this?" becomes "what in the process caused it?" Instead of debating until someone wins, you run a quick test and let the result decide. Scientific thinking has a simple, practical shape that you can use every single day, and it's called PDCA. Plan, do, check, act. You plan a change and predict the result. You do it on a small scale. You check what actually happened against your prediction, and you act, adopt it, adjust it, or abandon it. Then you go round again. That's the key thing about PDCA. It's a loop, not a line. It never really stops. Each turn of the wheel leaves you a little smarter than the last, and that learning is what compounds over time into real improvement. Plan, do, check, act, and repeat. Let me make PDCA concrete with a small, everyday example. Plan. Parts keep running short at a bench by mid-shift. Your prediction, a marked min-max line that triggers a top-up at 20 units, will stop the stockouts for a week. Do. You add the min-max line on one bench only, brief the team, and run it for a week, noting every time stock runs out. Check. Stockouts dropped from 5 to 1, and the one that remained was a delivery delay, not the line. So your prediction mostly held, with one new thing learned. Act. You adopt the min-max line as the standard on that bench and roll it to the next two, and you open a separate experiment on the delivery delay. Small, fast, reversible, and you end smarter than you started. That's scientific thinking in a single loop. Here's an important shift in rhythm that comes with all this. The old way treats improvement as an event, episodic Kaizen. Improvement happens in occasional bursts, a week-long event, lots of energy, and then quiet again until the next one. It depends on experts being in the room, and the gains often slide back before you run the next event. The modern way is different. Daily improvement means a little improvement, by everyone, most days, built into the work itself. The momentum is steady, and it compounds. It's owned by the team and their leader, every shift, and each gain is locked in as the new standard, then built on. The mindset moves from improving only when we run an event to improving as a normal part of how the work gets done every day. So how do you make improvement a daily habit? This is where Toyota Kata comes in. The word kata means a practiced routine, like a kata in martial arts, a form you repeat until it's second nature. And that's exactly the idea. If you want scientific thinking to become a habit, you practice it as a routine until you don't have to think about it. There are two katas. The Improvement Kata is a 4-step routine anyone can use to move from where they are toward a challenging goal, through small experiments. That's for everyone improving the work. And the Coaching Kata is a manager's routine of 5 questions that develops the improver's thinking. That's for leaders developing people. Together, they're the engine that turns lean tools into lasting habits. Let's walk through the Improvement Kata. the improver's 4-step routine. Step 1. Understand the direction. Where are we ultimately trying to go? A clear, challenging, long-term goal gives every experiment a purpose. Step 2. Grasp the current condition. Go and see how the work actually runs today, with facts and data, not assumptions. Step 3. Set the next target condition. Define a specific, measurable state to reach by a near date, a stepping stone toward the direction. And Step 4. Experiment toward it. Run PDCA cycles toward that target, learning from each obstacle, and repeat until you reach it. Then set the next target. Steps 1 and 2 set up the thinking. Steps 3 and 4 are the loop you keep repeating. Set a target, experiment toward it, set the next. The heart of the kata is the gap, the space between where you are now and a clear next target. And the discipline is this: you don't leap to the goal, you take one stepping stone at a time. Picture 3 boxes. On the left, the current condition, where the work is today, grasped with facts. In the middle, the next target condition, a specific, measurable state to reach soon. And on the right, the direction, the challenging long-term goal it all points to. You move from current to target through experiments, and when you arrive, you set the next target. Here's the clever part. Each target condition is close enough to be reachable, but far enough that you don't yet know exactly how you'll get there. And that, not knowing yet, is precisely where experiments are needed. So how do you actually cross that gap? Between the current and the target condition sit obstacles, the things in the way. And the mistake is trying to clear them all at once. Instead, you take one obstacle, run a single PDCA experiment, and learn from it. Each experiment pushes against what's called your threshold of knowledge, the edge of what you actually know right now. That edge is the learning zone, and it's where real improvement is made. The Improvement Kata even gives you 5 short questions to run each experiment. What's the target condition? What's the actual condition now? What obstacle am I working on? What's my next step, my next experiment? And when can we see what we learned from it? Obstacles aren't the problem, they're the path. Now the second routine, the coaching kata. If the Improvement Kata is the learner's routine, the coaching kata is the manager's. And here's the crucial difference. The coach doesn't solve the problem. The coach develops the improver's thinking through a set routine of questions. Done daily, in short cycles right at the board or at the work, like the conversation in this picture, it builds 2 habits at once. It builds the improvement habit in the person doing the work, and it builds the coaching habit in the leader. Both grow at the same time, a few minutes a day. The coaching kata is built around 5 questions, asked in the same order every cycle. 1. What is the target condition? The goal you're working toward right now. 2. What is the actual condition now, where things really stand today, with facts? 3. What obstacles are in the way, and which one are you tackling now? 4. What is your next step, the next single experiment, and what do you expect to happen? And 5. When can we go and see what we learned from that step? That last one matters. It sets the follow-up and closes the loop on learning. Same 5 questions, every cycle. The routine is the whole point. It makes good thinking automatic for both the coach and the learner. This points to the hardest change in a CI culture, and it's a change for managers. It's the shift from having the answers to developing the people who find them. Think about the contrast. The director hands down the solution, solves it so it's solved today, and the team waits to be told. And the capability stays locked up with the manager. The coach asks questions that build thinking, develops people so they can solve the next problem too, lets the team own the problem and the experiment, and the capability grows across the whole team. The director is faster today. The coach is far stronger over time. Modern leadership in CI leans deliberately toward the coach. Where does a leader do this work? At the Gemba. Gemba is a Japanese word meaning the real place where the work actually happens. Leaders go to the work to see the facts for themselves, to ask and to listen, not to inspect and not to catch people out. It's the difference you can see in this picture. A manager at the bench, alongside the operator, looking at the actual work rather than a report. Decisions made at the Gemba rest on what's real, not on what a report assumed. And the visit itself sends a message that the work and the people doing it matter enough for a leader to come and see. All of this is held together by a simple daily rhythm. And it's the rhythm, not the training event, that makes a culture stick. We call it tiered daily management, and it connects the whole site, top to floor. It starts with the team huddle, Daily, at the board, where the team reviews safety, quality, delivery, and cost, raises problems, and owns its small experiments. That connects up to an area review, where supervisors link the team boards together, unblocking what a team can't and escalating what they can't fix themselves. And that rolls up to a site review, where leadership sees the same measures and directs help to where it's needed. The huddle is where scientific thinking becomes daily. Same time, same board, same questions, every single day. Here's a question that tests any culture, and it's worth sitting with for a moment. What happens here when something goes wrong? In a blame culture, the answer is that mistakes get hidden, and we've already said it, hidden problems grow. In a learning culture, a mistake is treated as data, a signal that the process needs help. So you fix the process, not the person, and you actually thank the person who surfaced it. That single difference, repeated day after day, is most of what separates a culture where improvement thrives from one where it quietly dies. So whose job is improvement? In a real CI culture, it isn't a separate department's job at all. It belongs to everyone, because the person doing the work is the one who sees the friction first, every day. That's what fresh eyes means. New people and outsiders are actively encouraged to ask, why is it done this way? Like the team in this picture, gathered at the bench, working a small problem together. Because the question you stop asking is the waste you stop seeing. The most experienced people sometimes see the least, simply because they've stopped noticing. A culture that keeps asking why is a culture that keeps improving. One modern note before we close. The behaviors we've covered are timeless, but the evidence behind them is getting better. Real-time data doesn't replace scientific thinking. It makes it sharper. With facts on tap, live dashboards mean your experiments are checked against real data, not memory or opinion. With faster loops, digital boards and signals shorten the time between trying something and seeing the result. And with visible learning, digital audits and trends keep what each team learned in view and shareable across areas. But the mindset is unchanged. Predict, try, check, learn. The technology is new. The discipline is old. Don't ever let a dashboard replace the thinking. Let's name the traps, because knowing them is half of avoiding them. Culture efforts fail when they're launched as a slogan, posters and values on the wall, with no change in what managers actually do. They fail when tools go in without the behaviors, boards and audits installed, but no psychological safety, so problems still get hidden. They fail when managers still direct, trained to coach, then defaulting to giving answers the moment they're busy. They fail when blame survives. One public telling off can undo months of trust. They fail when there's no daily rhythm to keep improvement alive between events. And they fail when people are asked for input, then ignored, the fastest way to kill engagement for good. Avoid these 6 and you're most of the way there. So what's your part in this? Here are 6 things you can practice this week, and none of them need a title, permission, or a project. Get curious. Ask, why is it done this way? About one thing you've always accepted. Surface one problem. Raise something that bugs you, out loud, to your team or your lead. That's a contribution, not a complaint. Run one small experiment. Change one thing, predict the result, try it, and see what happens. Make it safe for others. Welcome a colleague's question or mistake the way you'd want yours welcomed. If you lead people, ask before you tell. Try a question where you'd normally give the answer. And notice an improvement. Thank someone for an attempt this week, even one that didn't quite work. These small behaviors, repeated, are the culture. Let's bring it together. Culture sits over tools. Behavior decides whether the tools stick, and the Shingo model puts principles first. Respect and safety. Involve the people who do the work, and make it safe to surface problems. Scientific thinking. Treat work as experiments. Plan, do, check, act, and learn fast. Kata is the habit, the improvement kata to practice it, the coaching kata to develop it in others. Coach and go and see. Leaders ask rather than tell, and make decisions at the real work. And keep a daily rhythm. Tiered huddles and blameless learning keep the culture alive every day. Tools give you the what. Culture and scientific thinking give you the how, and the reason it lasts. So before you go, be the culture you want to work in. You don't need a title to start. Ask one curious question. Surface one problem. Try one small experiment, and make it safe for someone else to do the same. That's how a culture of continuous improvement is actually built. Not by a program, but by people, one behavior at a time. Thanks for joining me for this module. In F5, we move to quality at the source and standard work basics, and I'll see you there.